Today, I'm excited that our presentation is about disability studies, training the next generation of leaders, presented by Sarah Parker Harris, the Associate Professor and Director of Graduate and Undergraduate Studies, and Ali Patsavas, Assistant Professor and Associate Director of the Undergraduate Studies. Sarah and Ali, please take it away.
Thank you, Katie, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to talk through disability studies program here at UIC and more broadly about disability studies as a field and how it's evolved over time. We just wanted to set the scene with where our department, Disability and Human Development, fits within the university and the college. So University of Illinois at Chicago is a public university that has around 31,000 students, 16 colleges, and also has a hospital and health sciences system. Our college, which is Applied Health Sciences, is the fourth largest college at UIC with 2,011 students and 96 full-time faculty. Our department is one of 5 departments in the college, along with Biomedical and Health Information Sciences, our department, Disability and Human Development, Kinesiology and Nutrition, Occupational Therapy, and Physical Therapy. The Department of Disability and Human Development was the first standalone department in the United States to offer a disability studies PhD program, and remains only one of 2 standalone PhD programs in disability studies in the world, the other one being in the United Kingdom at Leeds. Our approach to disability studies is exploring the social, cultural, historical, environmental, political, and economic factors that shape experiences of disability. And our disability studies program is within a broader framework of disability and human development. Our programs in our department has very strong ties to community organizations that are also run by and serving people with disabilities. We have a very strong interdisciplinary approach to disability, which is reflected in the faculty that do research and teach and have service opportunities here, as well as with our students. We have faculty that have backgrounds in cultural studies, disability studies, pediatrics, education, English, engineering, gender studies, history, medical education, occupational therapy, psychology, public health, public policy, rehabilitation sciences, sociology, speech therapy, and theatre. And this is also reflected in both our graduate and undergraduate students as well, who come from a variety of disciplines. We offer a number of undergrad and graduate programs. We have a minor in disability and human development, a bachelor in disability and human development. We have 2 certificate programs in assistive technology and disability ethics, and then 2 graduate programs, a master's degree and a PhD in disability studies.
So being an interdisciplinary field of study, disability studies can look different in different locations. So part of how Disability and Human Development, our department, approaches disability studies is to offer an interdisciplinary degree that focuses on a social justice approach to create and offer a curriculum that prepares students to think critically about how social, cultural, political, historical, and economic contexts shape the lives of people with disabilities. And to do that, we have built a kind of 3-pillar approach that embodies the scope of work that happens within or is undertaken within disability studies through perspectives from interdisciplinary fields of social science and technology as one pillar, humanities and arts as another pillar, and applied health sciences as the third. Our academic programs are committed to research grounded in social justice and the application of research in community settings across those 3 pillars. So we have invested heavily in experiential learning, where graduate and undergraduate students undertake placements across local, state, national, and international locations and organizations. Disability studies as a field, and our apologies for the crowded slide, this is There's just a lot to say about the field itself. But it's seen rapid growth over the last 10 years, with over 100 programs in the US that include disability studies. Even as Sarah said, there are only 2 programs that are specifically dedicated to disability studies in name. So some of the things that those programs hold and that our program picks up are a set of principles that guide the field of disability studies. The centering of the lives of people with disabilities, and the view of people with disabilities as agents and actors that are committed to improving, and the program itself is committed to the improvement of the lives of people with disabilities. And disability studies shifts the focus from the individual body or mind onto social structures. And as we've noted, it's grounded in social justice, with ties not only to disability rights and human rights, but also disability culture and disability justice movements. Disability studies addresses the intersecting systems of oppression that impact people with disabilities, from ableism to racism, xenophobia, sexism, homophobia, ageism, transphobia, and classism. And here at DHD, we view disability as a valuable source of knowledge, insight, and creative expression, and understand disability as a relational experience. The relation between bodies, minds, systems, environments, histories, politics, culture.
Disability studies as a field has really grown and shifted over time since it first started. When it did first start, it was a multidisciplinary scholarship informed by different perspectives towards disability studies, and those perspectives weren't always well integrated. The field has now grown to a paradigm of interdisciplinary immersion that integrates the strengths of established intellectual tradition while expanding the foundation of our critical knowledge. We wanted to turn now to a little bit more of a focus and a spotlight on our undergraduate program, because what we've seen is this huge shift in demand of disability studies courses at UIC, and there has been a very large growth of undergraduate programs in disability studies across the country as well. So we started our undergraduate program in 2013, 2014, and we had one course that was offered to undergraduate students. And now we offer over 22 courses to undergraduate students. And we went from having 100 students in the classes to over 2,000 students. So in just a short period of time of around 5 years, there's been this very large increase and demand for undergraduate programming in disability studies. Students that take our classes come from over 30 different disciplines. In our minor and major program, we started with 44 students in the minor program, and we now have 166 students, and we've graduated 209 students. At UIC, Disability and Human Development has actually seen the most increase in graduating minors across the entire university. And we are now the 5th largest minor out of all the minors that are offered here at UIC. There has been this very large demand to meet an educational and labour market gap in growth areas of healthcare and allied healthcare support, in government and non-government disability services and organisations, and in a variety of businesses that require knowledge of disability laws, policies, and culture. Some of our students that are in our bachelor's programs, the minors that they take with their bachelor programs come from fields of psychology, nutrition, global Asian studies, sociology, which is very variable around where they come from. And we see this in the majors of our minor students as well, who come from psychology, rehabilitation sciences, kinesiology, biology, as well as other fields such as accounting, neuroscience, nursing, public health, sociology. The educational goals of our undergraduate students tend to be more in the allied health fields or the pre-professional health fields, such as pre-nursing, pre-law, pre-medicine, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and also nutrition, epidemiology, or speech pathology.
So one of the things we wanted to address is talk a little bit about why we get so many students in our program that have this allied health plan. Many of our students come into both our major and our minor with a express desire to continue on to medical school, or to go into physical therapy or apply for occupational therapy school. And one of the ways that we address this in the curriculum is to really take up the call from medical schools and applied health science programs to name the importance of liberal arts education for healthcare providers. By centering a curriculum on disability and disabled people, we offer these 3 pillars as a way to bring together the best of liberal arts training with the hard skills and knowledge base to support an analysis of disability within those social contexts. Medical school is increasingly recognizing the importance of critical thinking skills gained in humanities-based courses and liberal arts education when combined with this broader interdisciplinary base. So DHD combines this focus with a grounding in social sciences, law, and policy to give students a well-rounded, comprehensive undergraduate education that can prepare them for a wide range of careers within the health sciences and beyond.
So some of what our students do upon graduation in our graduate students, we are an intensive research PhD and master's program, and so our graduates go on to academic positions such as postdoctoral fellowships or tenure track positions. This is within the field of disability studies, but also beyond, going into other disciplines. Our graduates have also gone into leadership positions in government and non-government organizations. We have 2 graduates that actually work in the United Nations. We have a number of graduates that have gone into state and federal government positions, and also as directors of advocacy agencies, local and national. Our bachelor students, which is still fairly new, we only started 5 years ago. So we're just starting to see where students are being placed in the last year or so. Where the students are going and are being trained to go is entry or mid-level positions within non-government organizations, private and public sector service provision, such as human resources, medical health services, social community services, health educators, and patient representatives and advocates. We have students who receive the specialized training in conjunction with additional majors. So we have students that would be interested in taking a double major, such as public health or education, business, psychology, kinesiology, who are interested in an area of the field but with a specialty in disability studies. And this is also growing more and more in the past year or two. And then also preparing our bachelor students, there is a large cohort of bachelor students that are preparing for continued education. So as Ali mentioned, one of those main areas is around medical school or other graduate degrees in applied health sciences, such as the allied health sciences or pre-professional programs. This was quite a surprise to us when we started the program. We didn't anticipate how many students would be interested in pre-medical careers and coming into disability studies and human development. And we have responded to this increased demand, and as Ali mentioned, to start training this next kind of generation of doctors and physical therapists and occupational therapists that approach their patients with a disability studies approach. Which is about really thinking through the framework of social justice and, including the person first approach. So it actually has been quite exciting to see that disability studies is having an impact on fields that would historically have discriminated or oppressed people with disabilities. And we really are focused on that change around those areas. And then also our students go on into graduate degrees in humanities programs as well.
And I think this interdisciplinary approach helps prepare students for, let me back up a second. So some of what the critical thinking skills that students develop across our interdisciplinary program support students at actually all levels of their next step. So whether that's on the job market as bachelor students who end up in places that have very little to do with what they imagine or what they came into a program starting for. So I sort of tell the story of being an English major or a creative writing major and ending up working at Starbucks for 6 years before I came into graduate school, and really recognizing the value of the skills in writing and verbal communication that I learned that was sort of gained through a humanities-based approach. And now coming into an interdisciplinary program, I'm able to see how the blending of that humanities, social science, and applied health science prepares students to go into any of the career paths that, given the job market, they may end up. But one of those specific pillars that, or career trajectories that this interdisciplinary approach provides is students that end up going into master's or PhD programs in gender studies or American studies or sociology or disability studies programs elsewhere, where they're learning the critical thinking skills that are enhanced through this interdisciplinary training.
So we are going to open it up for questions at this point. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah and Allie. So now is the time for you to ask questions. Feel free to use the chat box to submit your questions. To use the chat box, go to the lower right-hand corner of your screen, click on the purple X icon, and you will see the icons below. The speech bubble is the icon you click on in order to go to the chat feature, and go ahead and type in a question if you have one. And while we're waiting for that, I have a question. So can you talk a little bit about how you have seen the field change over time, as well as your thoughts related to the future of the field?
Yeah, I'll take this to start and anyone else can jump in. I think the field of disability studies really emerged, like we said, as an interdisciplinary training, but an interdisciplinary training that really saw itself as offering a corrective to the medicalization of disabled people's lives, and emerged with kind of, some of the earlier texts had a very rigid view of what counted as disability studies and what was quote unquote not disability studies. And I feel like as the field has developed and as critiques of this rigid separation kind of emerged, the field began to see the value of having cross-disciplinary conversations, including within medicine. So on a more theoretical level, disability studies has really begun to engage a lot more with questions of chronic illness, questions of environmental illness, pain, grief, some of the less pleasant and less concretely identified as disability things. That's a very technical term, things. But I think this is where the field is most poised to kind of do what it does best in terms of that cross-disciplinary conversation, and is the future of the field as I see it and as we see it.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. We have a question. Somebody asks, as part of these programs, are you ever looking for sites such as day programs for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities to partner with and be field sites for students?
Thank you. That is a great question. We do already partner with some of the community organizations, including day programs, where our students go in and actually learn about different support services and also in administrative roles and also direct support. So that is something we are always interested and want to have different partners. People can always contact myself or contact the Institute if you are interested in being a partner for our students.
Great, thank you. Another question, can you please describe a little bit more about the types of people that become students that take the classes? I know you talked about the different disciplines. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the demographics of these types of students, the ages, where these people are coming from, and just a little more description about the types of people that become students?
Thank you. That's a great question. It is really varied. So I'll talk about the graduate level first. At the graduate level, we have people that have freshly graduated undergrad programs or master's programs coming in. We have students that have taken extended breaks between studies and returning back to studies. We have working professionals that are looking in terms of enhancing their own careers. So people that might need, say, a master's degree or a PhD to get promoted in the applied fields that they are already in. We have students that are trained in very specific disciplines. So we have physical therapy students, for example, special education students that are coming into the PhD program to get that higher research degree and then to go back into the field that they're from in order to be professors or practitioners in their field. We have part-time students, full-time students. Around a little over half of our graduate student body identifies as having a disability. And so we have people both with and without disabilities and allies of people with disabilities and family members of people with disabilities and siblings of people with disabilities that are taking our program. We, at the graduate level, the three main areas that people tend to go into is either academia, whether it's in disability studies or other fields, into advocacy and policy positions would be the other one, or people that are in leadership positions as well. So our program is very diverse in terms of, for the PhD program, in terms of what the student body looks like. It is not this traditional department that kind of has this transition from people take undergrad, grad, come in. We really do work with a lot of part-time people, full-time employed people, both employed at the university and outside of the university. And that people that have quite a diverse goal of why they are doing a PhD. And undergrad?
And in some ways, I would say there's a similar breadth and scope of who our undergraduate students are in terms of students that are coming straight out of high school. They come in, they know exactly what they want to do. They want to study disability studies or disability and human development. They came here for our major. There are also students that have taken 5, 10, 15, 20 years off of school for a variety of reasons and are coming back at the undergraduate level. We have part-time students. And then we have students who, and I'm not sure that we said this, but a large portion of our undergraduate program, at least at the 100 and 200 level courses, are general education courses. So students at UIC have to take a certain number of general education courses, which are meant to provide kind of a broad-based liberal arts education. So this means that students, I think it's 6 courses, but students from across the campus will find their way into DHD courses because it fits their schedule, the title sounds interesting, but they have no expressed knowledge or interest in disability studies, and often find their way to the topic in the field through taking our courses. A lot of students begin to recognize their own relationship with disability and to disability, either as a disabled person themselves or begin to say, oh, my family member, oh, an aunt or an uncle or grandparent are experiencing the things that you're talking about in class. So I often start my classes by asking students sort of where their position is in relationship to disability. And it's usually, I would say, about a quarter of the class freely admits to saying, this worked with my schedule, I have no interest in disability at the start of class. I have about half of the students are either minor, major, or have some relationship to disability coming into classes. Another said, it just fits my schedule, I'm just here because it sounded interesting. By the end of the class, that has changed dramatically. So a lot of the students that said, I have no interest or no relationship to disability, begin to see both their interest, also kind of how disability fits into their lives and into their imagined careers.
Great, thank you for that and explaining that. Another question is, for the graduate program, how long does that take someone to go through, and what type of financial investment, how much does it cost for someone to take the program, the graduate program?
So right now our master's is undergoing revision and is going to be available to take again within the next year or two. And that, if you're taking it full time, is around 18 months to 2 years. Our PhD program, if you take it full time, can be done in 4 years. The average is between 4 to 5 years for PhD students. It's largely dependent on how you move through your coursework, and then when you're doing your major dissertation research, how complicated that research might be if you're doing a lot of field work, and that could take longer. Our PhD program, we are really happy to say, and as Director of Graduate Studies, I'm really happy to say that for the past several years, we've been able to fund all of our graduate students through waivers or teaching assistantship positions or research assistant positions, which come with tuition waivers as well as stipends. And that's something here we really strive to do with our PhD students in particular, is to make the program accessible in that way. And so we've been very successful to secure teaching positions and research positions within and outside of the department. And our PhD students every year have been awarded very prestigious what's called graduate university fellowships, of which there's a variety of. They're highly competitive, and every year we've been able to secure one or more of those because our students really are kind of the best thing about this department.
Great, thank you. Another question related to a community organization asking, are there also ever opportunities to partner in research studies?
Yes, so we all the faculty work with community organizations, whether locally, state-based, federally, or internationally. It is one of the missions of this department to be engaged with the community that we're actually working in and with. Faculty take a participatory action approach to research, which includes involving community partners from the very beginning. So there are always opportunities for faculty to partner with communities and communities to partner with faculty depending on the topic. Our faculty is so diverse and broad that if there is specific research, for example, that a community organization wants done as part of their community organization, we have not just with faculty, but we have advanced PhD students that are looking for research opportunities as well and can conduct research projects as part of their studies. And faculty on the faculty that are working on grants, state or federal grants, will always from this department partner with various community organizations. So if there are community organizations that would like opportunities to partner with the department, again, they can just reach out to us and we can connect you with the right people in the department to start that conversation.
Great, thank you. And I see another question is asking about the Disability Cultural Center. that is at the University of Illinois at Chicago. And can you talk a little bit about the Disability Cultural Center and the relationship with the Department of Disability and Human Development?
Hi, Katie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Did you hear my question? Hello.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Can you click on the purple button?
Maybe you're not hearing me.
We kept hearing about that.
Okay, so Allie and Sarah, can you hear me now? I have another question. Okay, well, looking at the time, I want to thank everybody for.
I'm not sure if you can hear us, but we lost sound.
Give us 1 minute. Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for participating in this webinar. As Sarah mentioned, if you have additional questions, feel free to contact us. You can email me directly or Sarah or Allie with those questions. This information is archived, and so people can listen to it, and the handouts are online. Thank you so much for your participation in this IDHD webinar, and look for more IDHD webinars to come in the future. Take care.